There's movies that you expect to be bad, but then you also expect a movie to be good. A Cure for Wellness was one of those films. Now, what is A Cure for Wellness? Well, it follows a person named Lockhart who has to retrieve a person from a business head of his company, essentially, a stock market company, whatever. And he has to go to this asylum of sorts in the Swiss Alps. And a lot of weird shit starts happening, and it just goes off from there. This movie was bad. This movie was bad. Like, okay, so here were my thoughts going into the film. I thought it was going to be good. I thought it was going to be scary, intense. Just like, I mean, if you know anything about Gore Verbinski, he did the Ring remake. Or, well, the Ring movie that was the American translation of Ringu, which is a Japanese horror film that I deeply enjoy. And Gore Verbinski also did the Pirates of the Caribbean films, and as ambitious as its sequels were, don't really stand up to some scrutiny that it's had, but The Cure for Wellness seemed to be a return to what Gore Verbinski was made famous for, and that was horror. And this movie just wasn't terrifying. Let's get into the bad before I get... Actually, no. Let's get into the good before we get into the bad. The good things about this film is its cinematography. I love the cinematography of this film. Some of the shots are really, really good. Like, that one shot in the trailer with the deer eye and, like, you see the two people coming into the room. I love that shot. There's so many shots in this film that I could remember. Another thing that is really good about this film is some of the actors. The actor who plays the girl character in the film, she's actually pretty decent in this film. The guy who plays the head of this entire asylum is really damn menacing, and I really enjoyed his performance. And I like the visuals. The visual quality of it, which is paired with the cinematography, I really enjoyed. And actually most of the practical effects work really, really well and disturbed me, really. But now we get into what is bad about this film. This is where I had to spend the most time thinking about this film as I went home from the theater last night, having watched the film, and it's... the story's bad. The story is really bad. The way the script is structured is really bad. Like, you could guess about a mile away from the beginning when the main character gets to the Swiss Alps, where the insane asylum is. You know, you have all this stuff that's laid down when he gets there, that you can guess what the twist is at the end. You can basically guess it. I could guess everything about this film without having to watch any sort of review or analysis of the film. I could already guess what the twist was. And that was pretty sad. Like, this is coming from a director who has some surprises, who can bring surprise to the screen. And the script doesn't bring any surprises for me, which is very upsetting. When you're making a horror film, you have to have some sort of surprise, some sort of grandiose twist that doesn't cancel out the entire movie, or it just doesn't work. Like, this is a film that pretty much, if you go into it, you could already guess what the blue pill bottle is for. You could already guess, like, who really is the main head of the entire group when you hear the little bedtime story that's played into the movie. And that's really troubling, because as a screenwriter and whatnot, this is something that, this is like great, like middle schooler type writing. You know, I could guess everything from the first act when he gets to the hospital. And it's very sad. It is very sad, and I left the theater very disappointed. Very disappointed. Now here, and like, the script is pretty much the worst part about this entire film. The entire plot, the entire story does not work with the grandiose visuals and the actual good actors that are in this film. And I did leave out one other actor, and that is because he makes the worst of this. Dan DeCon, or whoever the hell his name is, the lead character actor, just doesn't work for this film. And his character doesn't work for this film. See, this is going to get into spoiler territory here, but so basically, Dan DeCon plays this guy who is part of this financial firm, as I stated before, but the only reason why he really goes to the entire thing, like he goes to this place, is to cover his ass from the FBI. Not making that up. He covers his ass from the FBI because they needed this guy to do all this stuff. Like, there's this guy that works for this firm that, you know, has some sort of power that allows for mergers to happen within the company, and he goes there to try to get his promotion. It's a selfish thing. So why am I supposed to relate to someone who is selfish? And also, he's also kind of a dick to everyone. Pretty much everyone. And, like, and this is probably the worst thing to happen in a horror movie, is when you make a character that's so hated by me, or anyone else in the audience, that I purely wanted him to suffer everything. And that's kind of sad, really. When you're making a horror film, you need to have a character with some relatability, and this character just doesn't stand fit. Like, everything about him just screams asshole, and there's no redeeming quality to this character. There's nothing. There is nothing. Even when he is tortured in this film, even with all the practical effects that are used in this film, towards him, it stinks. Because, you know, we want to try to like a main character like Dan DeCon, but the writing is so poor that I couldn't relate to this guy at all. And I wanted him to purely die or stay there. There's one point in the movie in the third act where I felt they could have just cut right there, and it probably would have been a better ending. I would have said, yeah, he deserves to stay there. But it kept on going. Another main problem with this film, aside from that character and the actor, and also the script, is the fact that it's too long. It could have been cut down by 30 minutes in the end of the film. You would not have missed much. You really wouldn't have. And the twist at the end, I could see it from a mile away. You know, and I could go into more detail, but that goes more into spoiler territory of how the certain events correlate. You know, I mean, it's a trash movie. I don't know why certain people like Movie Bob or Beyond the Trailer are giving it such praise when it doesn't work as a horror film. It doesn't work as a thriller. Certainly, from a technical aspect, I appreciate it. Definitely. I love the cinematography. I love the landscapes. I love the hospital. I love everything about the technical aspects about this film, except for the story and the main character, and some of the CGI stuff that is in this film is pretty bad too. Like, even towards the end with, you know, the reveal of the person behind the mask, which I won't say who it is, you know, there's this really terrible CGI-looking face, and it's so terrible. It is so terrible, man. And I can tell that this film was made for such a low budget because of that terrible CGI. And it's just, man. This film was such a disappointment, guys. A Cure for Wellness does not stand on its own as a good horror film. It's just kind of there. It doesn't really do anything as a whole. It tries to be philosophical, but we don't care about the main character finding that out. Certainly, there are some genuinely disturbing moments in this film, but it's not worthy, because the story itself is led by a character who we don't care about. We would rather see this character be institutionalized and be there and be warped in reality to be there. And aside from that, the editing is so rambunctious at times. where it'll just flash random images on the screen and expects us to say, oh, well, that's deep. Oh, well, that's kind of foreboding. Oh, that's that. No, it's just spastic editing. It's terrible. It is terrible editing. And there's characters in this film that we see in the beginning and the end that we don't fully know who the hell these characters are. Are they related to the hospital? Are they insiders to the hospital? Are they enemies to the business core? We don't fucking know. And it's so terrible to see some people give this movie praise like it's some sort of grandiose thing when it just isn't. It's not. So unfortunately, guys, A Cure for Wellness, for me personally, gets a 3 out of 10. It does deserve its technical praise, and it does deserve its cinematography, but it's bogged down heavily by a piss-poor story with a piss-poor character that we have no relating factor to, who is always a dick. So, have you guys seen The Cure for Wellness? Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought of A Cure for Wellness, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.